Pizza Hut is closing a massive amount of restaurants. The company is headquartered in Plano.
Health inspectors are locking doors. Wall Street is squeezing the sauce. And the pizza you paid for last night was legally allowed to sit in a bacterial danger zone. This is dangerous. We looked at the health records, the private equity buyouts, and the corporate lawsuits of 2026. What we found will make you swear off the big boxes forever. You are paying premium prices for cheap shortcuts. By the end of this, you will know the worst offenders, the 4 safe havens, and the greedy billionaires connecting them all. Let's go. Number 12. Chuck E. Cheese. You walked in for the blinking lights and the games. You stayed for food poisoning. Monarch Alternative Capital decided the pizza budget needed a massive trim. They are the lender group that took control after CEC Entertainment's bankruptcy. They buy your childhood memories and sell them for scrap metal. They looked at the kitchen and saw a spreadsheet line item to cut. You paid $45 for a large pizza and a handful of plastic game tokens. That $45 bought you a front row seat to an imminent health hazard. In June of 2026, a health inspector walked into a location in the Midwest. They found fruit flies having a massive, unchecked party inside the commercial dough mixer. Not 1 or 2 bugs flying around the trash. 24 fruit flies. They were actively breeding inside the equipment used to make your kids' dinner. The inspector shut down the prep area immediately and issued a massive fine. You fed that exact crust to your 7-year-old. You trusted the rat in the tuxedo. A mother left a horrifying review saying, "The pizza tasted like a recycled cardboard box that had been left in the rain." That is exactly what corporate greed tastes like. It tastes like apathy and old flour. Monarch Alternative Capital did not care about the fruit flies. They were too busy counting your token money and structuring their debt. They rely on the sensory overload of the arcade to distract you from the tragedy on your plate. This is dangerous, not unhealthy, not a poor choice, dangerous. They know kids will eat anything if you put a ticket blaster next to the table. Keep a tight grip on your wallet. They are coming for every single dime. Next time your kid asks for a birthday pizza party, tell them the mouse is dead. Tell them you refuse to fund a Monarch Alternative Capital yacht. The games are rigged. The kitchen is a biological hazard. Think about the math for a second. A family of 4 walks in and drops close to $200 on pizza, tokens, and a birthday package. Monarch Alternative Capital does not see a family celebration. They see a recurring revenue stream with a captive, distracted audience that will not check the kitchen before ordering seconds. But if you think a dirty dough mixer is bad, wait until you hear what the next chain is hiding right on the buffet line. It will make your stomach turn. Number 11. Cicis Pizza. You wanted a cheap, all-you-can-eat buffet for the family. You got an all-you-can-stomach disaster. D&G investors bought Cicis out of bankruptcy. They wanted quick cash. They squeezed the local managers. The managers squeezed the sanitation standards to survive. They cut the labor hours so deeply that nobody had time to clean the dining room. You handed over $9 for a plastic plate and a dream. In April 2026, health inspectors in Austin, Texas, found pizzas sitting at exactly 69 degrees. That is the absolute peak of the bacterial danger zone. The pizzas were literally sweating. The inspector threw the entire buffet line directly into the trash on the spot. But the horror show did not stop at the lukewarm pizza counter. They inspected the self-serve soda machine in the main lobby. They found an accumulation of blackened grime inside the dispenser nozzles. Blackened grime? Right where your iced tea comes out. A local customer said, "My soda tasted like a damp basement smells." You drank that. You paid $9 to drink mold and eat room temperature bacteria. D&G investors made a deliberate choice to cut cleaning hours to boost the quarterly return. They prioritized rapid expansion and debt repayment over basic human safety. They know their customer base is looking for a bargain. They exploit that need by serving food that barely legally qualifies as edible. Subscribe to this channel because we run these investigations every single week. Done? Good. We are just getting started on the corporate lies that run the food industry. You deserve better than a dirty buffet run by a spreadsheet. A buffet only works as a business model if the food moves fast enough to stay safe and slow enough to look abundant. D&G investors chose the version of that balance that protects the bottom line, not the version that protects your family. $9 a plate is not a bargain if it costs you a week of stomach pain. You can walk away from a bad buffet. But the next chain preys on you when you are completely trapped, and they charge you double for the privilege. If watching private equity slowly poison your family makes your blood boil, hit that subscribe button right now. Number 10. Sparrow. You are walking through the mall. You are exhausted. You make a terrible mistake. Sparrow is majority owned by CEO David Karam and his sons, with Apollo Global Management and Guggenheim holding leftover minority stakes from an old bankruptcy deal. Karam knows you are physically trapped between a Macy's and a sunglass kiosk. They know you do not have the energy to walk out to your car and drive somewhere safe. They charge you $8 for a single slice of pepperoni pizza. That is $8 for a piece of dough that has been sitting under a heat lamp since Tuesday. In July 2026, an inspector in Florida found a Sparrow holding its mozzarella cheese at 78 degrees. The cheese was literally sweating separated oil onto the glass display case. The inspector forced them to discard 40 pounds of ruined, dangerous dairy immediately. You were going to eat that cheese. You paid for that specific slice of neglect. Sparrow's own leadership designed this exact business model. High foot traffic, zero culinary standards, maximum profit extraction. A former employee confessed online, "We were told to just scrape the hard edges off the old slices and put them back in the window." Scrape the hard edges. That is their entire culinary philosophy in one depressing sentence. They do not make fresh food. They curate a museum of dying carbohydrates. They are banking on your exhaustion. They are banking on your absolute desperation for calories. This is a calculated, greedy trap set by executives who have never worked a pizza line. They inflate the prices because they own the food court real estate. Keep a tight grip on your wallet when you walk past the neon sign. The smell of garlic pumping into the mall corridor is just chemical bait. Walk past it and save your stomach. Mall food courts run on captive foot traffic, and Sparrow's leadership knows exactly how to price for it. You are not just paying for a slice at Sparrow, you are paying rent on a location they picked specifically because you would be too tired and too hungry to say no. That slice was ancient, but at least it was just cheese. The next massive delivery chain was caught storing raw poultry right above your dinner. Number 9. Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza, absolute corporate fiction. Papa John's International is a publicly traded company that lost its soul a decade ago. They answer exclusively to Wall Street shareholders. They do not answer to your stomach. They charge you $22 for a large pie drenched in artificial butter flavor. In 2026, they aggressively rolled out new cost-cutting measures for their commissary dough. They want you to think a guy in the back is tossing fresh flour into the air. The truth is, it is formulated in a massive factory for maximum chemical shelf life. Health inspectors in Georgia walked into a high-volume store and stopped dead in their tracks. They found raw chicken wings stored directly above fresh green peppers in the walk-in cooler. One single drip of raw chicken juice, and your veggie pizza becomes a salmonella roulette. They cited the store for gross cross-contamination and an absolute failure of management. A delivery driver posted a viral warning. "Our store has one working oven and an army of cockroaches near the sink." An army of cockroaches, while Wall Street executives collect their massive quarterly dividends. You paid $22 to fund their stock buybacks and their golden parachutes. The famous garlic dipping sauce everyone loves is essentially industrial soybean oil mixed with artificial flavoring. You are literally dipping your crust into a highly processed science experiment. Publicly traded greed always finds a way to ruin dinner. They cut the labor. They cut the quality of the cheese. They kept the hollow slogan. They are selling you a heavily marketed illusion in a cardboard box. Do not fall for the commercials. The company's own slogan used to be a promise about ingredients. Now it is a punchline. A publicly traded pizza chain answers to quarterly earnings calls first. Your dinner comes second. The wings above produce violation in Georgia is exactly what that priority looks like in practice. If you think $22 is too much for an illusion, wait until you see this. The next chain hides horrifying pests inside its flour. It is America's biggest discount chain. Number 8. Little Caesars. hot and ready. Two words that should terrify any rational human being. Eilich Holdings owns this massive discount pizza empire. They are untouchable billionaires. They built their massive fortune by convincing working-class families that a $7 pizza is a good deal. It is not a deal. It is a biological warning. In 2026, a health inspector walked into a Little Caesars location in Michigan. They found fresh mice droppings scattered all over the floor of the dry flour storage room. Not outside near the dumpster. Inside the flour room where your crust begins. The inspector demanded an immediate pest control overhaul and threatened to pull their license. Eilich Holdings made a deliberate choice to force their franchisees to operate on razor-thin margins. When margins are that tight, pest control and deep cleaning are the first things cut from the budget. You paid $7 for a box of mice-adjacent dough and cheap tomato paste. A furious customer left a Google review stating, "I found a literal metal screw baked into the bottom crust." A metal screw, baked right into the dough. That is what happens when underpaid teenagers are rushing to keep the warmers full during a Friday rush. The cheese they use is a massive blend of cheap dairy designed specifically to never fully melt. It just turns into an orange, rubbery sheet that cools into plastic in 5 minutes. Keep a tight grip on your wallet. A $7 pizza costs you way more in regret and potential medical bills. They are feeding you the absolute bare minimum required by federal law. It is a masterclass in corporate disrespect. Eilich Holdings built an empire on the idea that speed and price can substitute for quality forever. Eventually, something gives, and in this case, it was pest control. A $7 pizza has to cut corners somewhere, and mice droppings in the flour room tell you exactly where those corners got cut. Mice in the flour is a nightmare, but the next chain let toxic mold grow right where your drinks are poured, and they charge you triple the price. Number 7. Pizza Hut. No one out, Pizza's the Hut. Because no one else wants to sink this low. Pizza Hut is owned by Yum! Brands. Yes, the exact same massive corporate villain destroying KFC and Taco Bell right now. They charge you $18 for a medium stuffed crust pizza that tastes like despair. That is $18 to eat food from a corporation that fundamentally despises its own customers. In early 2026, a Pizza Hut location in Ohio failed a routine health inspection spectacularly. The inspector found a heavy, thick buildup of black mold inside the ice machine. They also found employees handling raw pork sausage and then immediately touching the clean pizza boxes. No hand washing, no glove changes, just pure, unadulterated grease transfer. Yum! Brands executives sit in pristine, climate-controlled corporate offices in Kentucky. They let their local kitchens operate like unregulated swamps. A recent Google review reads, "The dough was raw in the middle and completely frozen near the crust. How do you even achieve that chemically? It takes a Yum! Brand's laboratory to mess up that badly. They are completely obsessed with their international expansion in Asia. They have completely abandoned the safety and quality of the American kitchens. You paid $18 to fund a corporate yacht for a Yum! Brand's vice president. They left you with an undercooked dough ball and a side of respiratory mold. That is the Yum! Brand's guarantee. They took a beloved 1990s dine-in brand and stripped it down to the absolute studs. Yum! Brands abandoned their kitchens. But the next delivery giant completely abandoned basic plumbing, forcing their workers into a truly disgusting corner. Yum! Brands runs 3 of America's biggest fast food chains out of the same corporate playbook. Pizza Hut is often the one left with the oldest buildings. It gets the thinnest maintenance budget too. Black mold in an ice machine does not appear overnight. It appears after months of deferred repairs that nobody in Kentucky wanted to pay for. Up next is the undisputed king of delivery, the ruthless emperor of aggressive corporate cost-cutting. Number 6. Domino's. Domino's Pizza Inc. is a publicly traded titan that cares only about the algorithm. Wall Street demands constant, infinite growth. Domino's gives them your hard-earned money. They charge you $20 for a medium specialty pizza that is mostly crust. In 2026, they started relying heavily on automated ordering systems and brutal skeleton crews. They removed the actual humans from the kitchen to boost their stock price artificially. An inspector in Texas found a high-volume Domino's operating with zero hot water in the sinks. Zero hot water means zero effective hand washing is even physically possible. The employees were making your dinner with dirty hands because the corporation refused to fix the plumbing. The inspector shut them down entirely until a plumber arrived. A burnt-out worker admitted on Reddit, "We are so understaffed we just wipe the sauce off the floor and keep going." Wipe the sauce off the floor. That is the dark reality of their 30-minute delivery promise. You paid $20 for a floor sauce special cooked by someone who couldn't wash their hands. Wall Street cheered the labor savings. The stock went up, your stomach went down. Domino's is not a pizza company anymore. It is a tech and logistics company that happens to sell cheese-flavored cardboard. They engineered the crust to survive a 30-minute car ride without disintegrating. They completely forgot to engineer it to taste like actual food. Domino's sacrificed quality for speed. But the next trendy chain sacrificed everything when a notorious private equity firm took the wheel. Domino's spent years telling investors it was really a technology company that happened to sell pizza. Investors loved that story. It sent the stock soaring for a decade. Nobody on that earnings call ever asked whether the sinks in the back of the store had hot water. Coming up next is another villain. They promised you artisan fire. They delivered corporate ashes. If you're still here, click that like button for more revelations. You'll be glad you did. Number 5. Blaze Pizza. Roark Capital bought Blaze Pizza in 2024. Roark is the massive private equity firm famous for squeezing Subway franchisees dry. They brought their ruthless, profit-first efficiency to your favorite fast-casual pizza spot. You pay $14 for a paper-thin, personal-sized pizza. In 2026, the Roark effect became painfully visible in every single restaurant. They started aggressively portioning the mozzarella to save fractions of a penny. An inspector in California cited a Blaze location for severe and repeated cross-contamination. The vegan cheese was actively mixing with the raw pepperoni juice on the make line. The line workers were moving too fast to change gloves because corporate slashed the labor budget. Roark Capital made the deliberate choice to understaff the line to maximize their quarterly return. A devastated fan wrote online, "They cut the cheese portion in half and raised the price by $3. That is the entire private equity playbook summarized in one depressing sentence. Buy a beloved growing brand. Gut the premium ingredients. Hike the price immediately. You paid $14 for a cracker with red water and 3 pieces of pepperoni on it. They rely on the roaring open fire to distract you from the shrinking toppings. Keep a tight grip on your wallet when you see that Roark Capital umbrella. They are not burning the pizza. They are burning your trust for a quick payout. That is the absolute bottom of the barrel. But the good news is, a few rare chains fought back against the corporate machine. Here are the 4 you can actually trust. Roark Capital has built a reputation across the restaurant industry for one exact playbook. Buy beloved brands. Shrink the portions. Raise the price. Let the franchisees absorb the blame when customers complain. Blaze was never going to be the exception. And now to our safe 4. Can you guys who they are? Number 4. Cicis Pizza. Cicis Pizza did the opposite of everything above them on this list. They make heavy Detroit-style deep dish pizza without the deep corporate greed. They are not owned by a faceless private equity vampire looking for a flip. They are run by the original founders and their families. They use the exact same signature recipe they started with decades ago. They don't need a brand's executive to tell them how to grate fresh cheese. You pay $24 for a massive 8-corner pizza. That $24 buys you actual whole milk mozzarella, grated fresh inside the store every single morning. The big chains use pre-shredded cheese coated in anti-caking wood pulp to save time. Cicis refuses to use the wood pulp. They make their deep dish dough fresh in the store every single day. In a 2026 health sweep, a high-volume Detroit Cicis location passed with a flawless score. 0 priority violations, 0 temperature failures, spotless kitchens. A food critic noted, the crust has a buttercrisp edge that actual human hands have to form. Human hands. not a Rourke Capital automated dough press. They are not perfect, but they are strictly accountable. When a mistake happens, a local manager fixes it immediately. Not a Wall Street lawyer. You get exactly what you pay for. A heavy, honest, delicious brick of cheese and sauce. This is what accountability tastes like in the modern fast food landscape. Jets brought accountability back to the deep dish. But the next spot on our safe list kept their ingredients weird, wonderful, and spotlessly clean. There is a reason Jets still taste like it did decades ago. Nobody in a boardroom 2 states away is telling the store manager which ingredients to swap out for something cheaper. The family that built the recipe is still the family answering for it. The next pizza chain kept us safe and we thank them for it. Number 3. Mellow Mushroom. Homegrown Industries owns them. They kept the chain wonderfully weird and remarkably safe. They did not sell their soul to a private equity firm for a quick cash injection. They charged $26 for a large, heavy specialty pie. That $26 buys you spring water dough made without heavily bleached flour. They refuse to use the bleached, chemical-laden white flour the mega chains rely on for shelf life. They don't need Wall Street analysts to tell them how to properly proof dough. During a recent 2026 inspection in Atlanta, the kitchen was practically sterile. The health inspector specifically noted the pristine condition of the walk-in coolers. Every single vegetable was clearly labeled, perfectly dated, and stored away from raw meats. A local reviewer wrote, "It is the only pizza that doesn't make me feel like I need a nap and an ambulance." No heavy industrial grease pooling on the top. No cheap soybean oil masquerading as garlic butter. Mellow Mushroom proves that a massive national footprint doesn't require a massive quality compromise. They kept the ingredients strictly premium. They kept the kitchens flawlessly clean. You pay a premium price, but you actually get to eat a premium product. Corporate greed is nowhere on the menu. They built a loyal following by respecting the customer. Clean ingredients are the foundation of a great pie. But the next chain built their entire legacy by giving you exactly 100 reasons to trust them. Homegrown Industries never chased a quick flip. It shows in the details customers actually notice. The dough tastes like it was made that morning. The kitchen never needs a scramble when an inspector walks in. The next pizza chain is family-owned, and this means they care about you more than they care about profit. But there's something they load up on. Number 2. Domino's. Pizza. Domino's are family-owned. They literally bought themselves back from McDonald's years ago. They fought off the massive corporate machine to keep their ingredient standards intact. You pay $21 for a large edge-to-edge pepperoni pizza. That $21 buys you exactly 100 individual pieces of pepperoni. They count them. They guarantee it on every single large pie. They don't use the shady dynamic pricing models that Wendy's and Domino's love to exploit. In Columbus, Ohio, a 2026 health inspection of a massive high-volume Domino's came back completely perfect. 0 critical violations, spotless cutting boards, immaculate walk-in freezers. A former employee stated, "The family would literally fire you on the spot if you skimped on the toppings." They care about the integrity of the pizza far more than the quarterly profit margin. They slice the aged provolone cheese straight from the block in the store. They do not buy massive industrial bags of pre-cut chemical-washed shreds. You can taste the distinct lack of private equity interference in every single bite. Domino's is exactly what happens when a founder actually loves the food they serve. They refuse to compromise their legacy for a quick buyout. You get the ultimate reward. Domino's loads up the toppings. Honestly, but the number 1 chain on our list delivers an absolute mountain of quality that Wall Street cannot touch. Buying yourself back from a corporation the size of McDonald's is not a small thing. It means turning down an enormous payout in exchange for keeping control of the recipe. That decision is the entire reason the pepperoni count still means something, and it's time for our number 1, the undisputed, the king of the pizza mountain. Number 1. Mountain Mike's. Pizza Mountain. Mike's are a privately held franchise system that strictly guards its recipes and standards. They refuse to let Rourke Capital or Yum brands anywhere near their legendary kitchens. You pay $28 for a massive, heavy, mountain-sized pizza. That $28 buys you a masterpiece of perfectly curled, crispy pepperoni cups. Those little cups catch the savory grease. They do not soak the cardboard box underneath. In a massive 2026 health audit in California, Mountain Mike's stores scored consistently in the high 90s. No fruit flies in the dough, no black slime in the ice, no sweating cheese in the window. A fierce brand loyalist wrote, "This is the pizza you remember from the 1990s before the MBAs ruined everything." Before the MBAs ruined everything. That is the truest sentence ever written about American food. The worst chains on this list let accountants design the menu to save pennies. Mountain Mike's let actual cooks design the menu to create a loyal following. They bake the pizza in actual stone deck ovens, not massive automated conveyor belts of sadness. They respect the raw ingredients, they respect your hard-earned wallet. They earned the absolute #1 spot because they never sold out to the suits. They serve pizza, not a spreadsheet. Every other name on this list eventually had to answer to someone in a boardroom who had never worked a pizza line in their life. Mountain Mike's never had to make that call, and their health scores are the direct result. There it is. The absolute worst of the worst and the rare best. The corporate vampires want you to keep eating their cheap, dirty, health code violating shortcuts. Stop handing them your hard-earned money. Stop funding their massive private equity yachts. These exact same corporations are doing the same thing to your favorite burger chains. If you are ready to see it, click the video on your screen right now. I will see you there.